So, if you ignore the green and the algae, this waterfall is pretty beautiful, huh? Well, let's get into the hard lesson that I had to learn in order to get to this stage. Alright, so what we have, this is our filtration system, obviously. This is our waterfall pump. Customer called us out because they had a 5 horsepower motor that was down. We could turn the breaker on and power would get to the motor, but the motor wouldn't turn. So we concluded that the electrical failure had happened and they needed a new motor. So we came in, matched motor, same for same, 5 horsepower single phase, and went ahead and replaced it. We kept the impeller, installed new seals and new O-rings, started it up, and the motor had a gallop in it. You would hear it not getting up to full speed, and then there was a red switch on it that was engaging. Turns out, after contacting the manufacturer to try to understand what was happening, that red switch was a centrifugal motion sensor, and it wasn't operating at full RPM, so it was tripping, and the motor was galloping and clicking. So we called an electrician because our diagnostic of the electrical system here told us that we weren't getting the right voltage for a single phase system, which we're getting 211, 212, somewhere around in there. And we had a 2-pole single phase breaker here, and we had just 10 gauge wiring running through 1/2-inch conduit over to the motor. And the electrician said, hey, you're probably starving it. You need to go with 8 gauge wiring and a larger breaker and you'll be okay. So we followed that guidance. Exact same issue. From there, looking at the amperage, looking at the voltage, the fact that this is a 3-phase low voltage panel, I concluded that maybe the answer was changing to a 3-phase breaker and adding another leg and then wiring it. After talking with Kevin and some others about installing a single phase pump on a 3-phase panel, it's not a good idea. Sometimes you might get away with it. Our pump here, the Whisper Flow 3 horsepower, was working just fine single phase. However, we were still having the other issue. So long story short, we put in a 3-phase breaker, ran 8 gauge wiring all the way over to a motor. We swapped the single phase 5 horsepower motor for a 3-phase 5 horsepower motor and had the electrician take care of our wiring, conduit, all of that, right? So it looks good. When we were running the single phase pump, we were drawing over 100 amps on each leg. On the 3-phase system, we were drawing 60 amps on each leg. So 3-phase breaker, 3-phase motor, 100 amps. And when we would do a voltage test on our line side, testing the voltage, when we would turn the pump on, our voltage would drop from like 211 down to 199. So we were drawing more than the supply would allow. And so I'm telling the property manager, you have a problem with your incoming power. It's not right. It's not sufficient. Your electrician needs to look at the transformer. We went round and round and round. We couldn't find a disconnect panel, a breaker panel, anything like that. We ended up ultimately finding it after looking around the whole property. It's, like outside through a corridor, around a corner. It's a disconnect box that comes in from the main at the street. There's no breaker panel for it. It's got 60 amp fuses in it. So we checked that. I thought maybe we have either a burned fuse or a partially burned fuse, since we were drawing more amps than what it was rated for. And so we did some testing on the fuses. They were good. I have seen before gallops or increased amperage in fuses that are not fully burned, only partially burned, and it causes issues with the motors. They will run but not right, and then they'll ultimately trip a breaker or cause issues. So wasn't a fuse. So where are we at? The customer is, understanding at this point. We're the third company to encounter the issue with this pump. So what did we do? We decided, hey, let's go back to square one and let's break the pump apart and make sure that we have the right impeller on it, because at that point that's the last thing that we can check, and it's probably one of the things we should have checked first. And so we had this impeller on it. Okay, it's pretty darn big. I checked the number on it, 15 horsepower. Are you freaking kidding me? 15 horsepower impeller installed on a 5-horse motor. Now that was on the existing pump. We didn't do that. So cool. I ordered a 5-horsepower impeller. This impeller comes in. Okay. Look at the size difference on these two. All right. So there is a size difference. The diameter of the throat is almost an 1/8 of an inch wider. Our gaps are smaller, but look at this. We have more blades on this smaller 5-horse impeller than we do on the 15. So something's definitely different about it. So I double checked the part number that I ordered and figured out that this is a 5-horsepower EQ Waterfall impeller. What's the difference? Like, why is that a big deal? What's the difference in the Waterfall? Well, when I check the EQ manual, the 5-horsepower Waterfall impeller will move like 500 gallons a minute at 20 feet of head. That's insane. We were still drawing with this 5-horse impeller, we were drawing 60 amps per leg, right? And then our voltage was dropping. So, I once again double checked. Okay, well, maybe there's a difference in a 5-horse and a 5-horse Waterfall. Sure enough, there is. This is a 5-horse EQ impeller. Not only is the opening smaller between the blades, there are fewer blades that match what we're used to seeing, maybe 6, 7 blades. But also the throat area here. You see how the Waterfall one's bigger? This will not fit in the standard diffuser. So we, being the good pool technicians that we are, modified the diffuser to fit this impeller initially, because we thought, hey, something's odd. We're not really sure, but we know what we're doing. We've been doing this for a decade, right? So nope. So this 5-horse fits right into the standard diffuser, 5-horse diffuser. Matches right up. Installed it. I've got it over there installed now. What happens when we turn it on? Get the rotation right first time, and all of a sudden now we're not running 60 amps. Our system is rated for a maximum of 13 amps. We're running at 11. Our voltage is no longer dropping below our threshold. Our fountain is working. And for what? If we had spent 5 extra minutes on, okay, let's be realistic, not 5 minutes. If we had spent an extra 20 minutes on the diagnostic to take this pump apart and double check part numbers, we would have seen that there is a 10 and 15 horsepower impeller installed on that motor, and we would have seen that it wasn't right if we had checked the part numbers. When the customer told us, hey, there may be an issue with the impeller, we told them, no, we checked it. It's a 5-horse. It was a 5-horse, but it was not the correct 5-horse impeller. So the hard lesson that I learned here, once again, and will probably learn again, is do your homework. Do the hard things, swallow your pride, and double check yourself. Don't make assumptions. When you make an assumption, it'll make an ass out of you and me.